Have you ever used a cheat code in a game and then stopped playing entirely? I have, many times, and it took me years to realize why. Cheat codes are tempting. Infinite money, God mode, no cooldowns, invincible armies, full maps, instant victories. It sounds incredible, like unlocking the hidden potential of a game. But the truth is, cheat codes almost always kill the game. They don't just make it easier, they make it meaningless. Let me tell you exactly how that happened to me, over and over. Let's start with Europa Universalis IV. It's this massive grand strategy game where you take control of a nation and guide it through centuries of history. You manage diplomacy, wars, trade, religion, technology, stability. It's an insanely complex and rewarding experience. One of my favorite campaigns was with Brandenburg. I had this vision: I'd unify Germany and dominate Central Europe. And at first it was amazing. Tough, but amazing. I was carefully choosing allies, avoiding rebels, saving monarch points, expanding my nation, all the stuff that makes the game addictive. But then, I got impatient. I opened the console, gave myself some money, then maxed out my manpower, then gave myself instant tech boosts, stability, and prestige, and that was it. The challenge disappeared. Wars weren't dangerous anymore. My economy was never at risk. Rebels? Gone. Rivals? Pfft, laughable. What used to feel like a tense, living world full of pressure and consequences turned into a sandbox I could crush with no resistance. And it wasn't fun, not even a little. I quit this campaign a few minutes later, and I never finished it. I started a new campaign just for the sake of trying a different country, used cheat codes, and never finished the campaign again. And this happened over and over again. Same story again in Victoria 3, another game built around balancing power, economics, diplomacy, and social change. I started as a minor nation. I was loving the experience, tweaking my economy, dealing with radicals, struggling to pass reforms, but then I gave in. Used cheats to max out my economy. Instant loss pass, infinite influence, no revolts, no struggle. And again, the game just collapsed. All the systems that made it feel like a living, breathing simulation, all gone. I was just clicking buttons, nothing had weight anymore. And you know what? I never finished that campaign either. I've never finished any campaign when I used cheats. Ever. Why? Because cheats ruin the core loop of the game. Every game, whether it's a strategy title, an RPG, or any other genre, is built on a gameplay loop. You face a challenge, you learn, you adapt, you grow, and eventually you overcome it. That's what makes it rewarding. When you use cheats, you skip the challenge, and when you skip the challenge, there is nothing to adapt to, nothing to grow into, nothing to earn. It's like going to the gym and having someone to do workout for you. Yeah, the weight gets lifted, but did you actually accomplish anything? No. So cheats make your choices meaningless. Games are interesting because of trade-offs and hard choices you have to make. Do you attack now or wait? Do you invest in the economy or the military? Do you take a short-term gain or a long-term bet? Without consequences, those decisions are just meaningless. You can just brute force your way through everything. So what's left? Just buttons, menus, noise, basically nothing. Cheating destroys tension. The best games make you feel something. They create pressure. A tight economy, a risky battle, a fragile alliance, a countdown before everything explodes. That tension is what keeps you engaged. It's what makes your heart race. When you cheat, you erase that tension. You make everything safe, predictable, and boring. And here is the kicker: I didn't just ruin a few campaigns. I ruined almost every game I used cheat codes in. And the game's genre doesn't matter. Once I cheated, the motivation to keep going just faded. Oh, I just to give myself a small boost, I tell myself. But it never stayed small. Once you know you can cheat, it's hard to stop. You stop trying to solve problems and just skip them. And then you realize you're not actually playing anymore. You're just clicking. Look, I'm not against cheat codes existing. They have their place for experimenting, like testing, for having fun after finishing the game. For modding or, I don't know, maybe content creation. Absolutely, those are valid uses, but if you use cheats during your first real playthrough, if you're skipping the systems that developers spent years designing, you are deleting the game's soul. and you will hate yourself after it. Because the real joy of gaming doesn't come from having everything, it comes from earning it, from building it, from the grind, the struggle, the challenge, the plan that finally worked. That's the moment that sticks with you. And I know that from experience, because I've also seen the other side of it. Back in 2002, I played a game called Gothic, and I didn't even know cheat codes existed back then. I didn't have the internet at that time, I didn't have guides. I was just a kid with a keyboard and a mouse trying to survive in a brutal world. And Gothic was brutal. Mobs could kill you in seconds. There was no map markers, no question arrows. You had to explore, you had to figure things out by trial and error. Sometimes you'd take wrong turn into the woods and get wrecked by a shadow beast 10 times your level. And you know what? It was amazing, because every inch of progress felt earned. Every time I found a better weapon or figured out how to beat a tougher enemy, it felt huge, like I had truly grown inside the world. I still remember some of those victories more clearly than most modern games I've played, and I replayed Gothic multiple times because it respected my effort. It didn't hand me anything, it was challenging, and that made every moment mean something. When Gothic 2 came out, I was ready for more. It took everything I loved from the first game and expanded it. More quests, more choices, more freedom, but it still kept the same brutal difficulty. You still had to fight every step of the way to survive. And that made every victory even sweeter and more rewarding. I replayed Gothic games about 3 or 4 times. Each time it was a fresh challenge, and each time it felt earned. Those games became a huge part of my gaming experience. They are still some of my all-time favorites, not because they were easy, but because they made me work for the rewards. It's no wonder Gothic games were loved across Central and Eastern Europe. It didn't hold your hand. It was difficult. It offered an experience that respected the player's time and effort. That's the kind of experience that stays with you. So yeah, cheat codes made me feel powerful when I used them. For a moment. But they killed the long-term run. They made every game feel shallow. And they made sure I never finished the things I started. So now I avoid them. Even if I'm stuck, even if I'm frustrated, even if the game is brutally difficult. Because I've learned something. Victory means nothing if you didn't struggle to earn it. So if you are thinking about cheating, just to skip the hard part, ask yourself, do I want to feel powerful now or satisfied later? Because you can't have both. Take your time, maybe take a break or get some rest, and try again the next day. The satisfaction of overcoming the tough parts is well worth the effort. So don't cheat the game, don't cheat yourself.